April Fool's online Blitz tournament treated us with the game between the best chess YouTuber of all time, Levi Rosman, also known as Gotham Chess, and possibly the best chess player of all time, Magnus Carlsen. Besides being a famous content creator on YouTube, Gotham Chess is also a very strong international master. And he starts with the most popular move in chess, e4. Magnus responds to e6, and you would think this is French defense, but after b3, which is the move that Nakamura likes, and he likes to develop his bishops at b2 square, and Gotham Chess follows suit, and here Magnus plays e5. So on the first move, Magnus played e6. On the second move, he played with the same pawn, e5, which is absolutely no-no at any level of chess. But I guess this is April Fool's Day, this is Blitz tournament, Magnus is having fun, and plays e5. Bishop b2, knight c6, f4 with some ideas of King's Gambit. Bishop c5, knight develops to f3 for Gotham Chess, d6. Bishop goes to b5 for Levi, knight f6 for Magnus. Now the game reminds of real chess, actually, after those strange e6, e5 maneuvers by Magnus. Exchange of the minor pieces on c6 and queen e2, which is a mistake, because black can just take the pawn on f4. Engines love material, they love taking pawns and defend their position, and that's exactly what Magnus did. E takes f4, d4 for Gotham Chess, the bishop retreats to b6, and white has a very nice center of pawns on d4 and e4, and their position looks pretty good, although computer just thinks they're losing because they don't have a pawn. Knight develops to d2, castle for Magnus, long castle for Gotham Chess. And we have a game where white are gonna try to attack black's king on the king side of the board, and black would probably try to either attack in the center of the board or on the queen side of the board. Magnus immediately puts pressure on the pawn on e4 by moving his rook on e8. e5 for Levi, knight jumps to a nice square on d5 with some possible ideas of putting it on a nice square of e3, and g3 for Levi, which totally makes sense. He wants to open up the G file and attack Magnus' king. A5 for Magnus, he doesn't pay any attention to what Levi does on the king side of the board. Levi takes the pawn on f4, Magnus doesn't even take it back, and he plays a4. Rook g1, again, the move that makes total sense. Now the idea would be to play queen g2 and threaten a checkmate on g7. Magnus exchanged the pawns on b3 and bishop f5. He activates the bishop. Levi plays rook g5 and he wants to dislodge this bishop from a nice square f5. Knight takes f4, attacking the queen. The queen is more important than the bishop, so Levi has to protect the queen first. Plays queen e3. Seems like he is attacking two pieces at the same time, but it's easily defendable by moving the knight back to a square d5. The move that Magnus will be making more than once in this game. Queen retreats to g1, and the threat is clear. Rook takes g7 check. Magnus sees it and plays bishop g6, blocking that whole file. The other move from Levi is logical again, h4, with the idea to play h5, attack the bishop on g6, and possibly again punishing black with the move rook g7 check. But black attacked the rook first, h6, the rook has to retreat to g3, knight f4, and now h5 move is not possible because knight would simply grab that pawn on h5. Queen e3. Attacking the knight on f6, f4. The best move for black in this position was, believe it or not, a very funny move, queen f6. Protecting the knight and using the fact that if white takes the queen, there would be rook takes e3 using the pin. Magnus plays more human, Move takes the pawn on e5, knight takes e5. Now the knight on f4 is under attack again, and again the knight could go to d5, but first Magnus takes the pawn on h4. Now he has two extra pawns. Rook g1, again putting some pressure, doubling down the rooks on the g file, and now again knight d5, attacking the queen. Queen goes back to f2, and this blunders a rook takes e5. This is not a sacrifice of the rook. This is using the pin. White cannot take the rook on e5 because they will lose a queen. Levy goes knight f3, which looks good. It's a fork. It's attacking the queen and the rook at the same time. But black has a very simple answer to that. Queen f4 check. King has to go to b1, rook e3, and in this position, Levy resigned. He is without a piece, without a bishop, without two pawns, in an absolutely losing position. Time is not a factor for Magnus. He still has 1 minute and 29 seconds to go in the game. So in this particular game, between the best YouTuber and the best chess player, the best chess player prevailed and easily won. I would appreciate if you subscribe, drop a comment. Thank you for watching.